welcome back to my channel. Today I have an exciting video planned because I bought these TBR prompt cards months ago. I have not used them yet, so I'm finally going to use them to pick my July TBR. I am going to put back some of these blanks here because I don't know what I'm going to put on there yet. I don't know what all the cards are, but on each card there will be different prompts. Like, for example, this one says, read a book that you have seen other people read in public. Each one of these are labeled with the different prompts, and I am going to shuffle this and pick about 7 books, I think. And of course, if it's a series, I'm not gonna pick the second or third book. I'm only gonna pick the first book in the series. And we have a lot to choose from because you know how a couple videos ago I said I was gonna go on like a book buying ban? I went on vacation and we went to McKay's and then we went to a peddler's mall and I got some books pretty cheap. So I have these all shuffled and I'm gonna randomly pick 7 of these cards. The first one is going to be read a book with a red cover. So for a book with a red cover, I unfortunately only have series in front of me. I have Her Soul for a Crown by Alicia Ramira, and this is about a princess, a soon-to-be queen, who has calculated her ascension to the throne since she was orphaned, but there is a coup on the castle that messes up her plans, and she ends up binding her soul to one of the cursed gods, and her name's Anula, and she is tethered to this god until their goals are achieved or until they die. And this is a romantasy, so you know they do probably fall in love. Might not be with him, but somebody falls in love throughout this journey. So this is the first one that I could pick. The second one is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith, and I really don't know anything about this. And the female main character, her name is Ophelia, and she discovers that her mom is murdered and she has inherited a huge debt, and her sister decides to enter in Phantasma in order to pay off the loan. And so in order for Ophelia to save her sister, she also enters in Phantasma, which is like this cursed manor, and there are 9 floors and you have to conquer all 9 in order to succeed. I do also know that this is a romantasy, so I think I'm kind of leaning towards this one. And then the third one that I could pick for the red book is The City of Brass. It doesn't have a lot of red in the cover, but I think it has enough to be considered red. This is about Nari, who is a con woman, and she is, I believe, part Jinn, and one day she accidentally summons Dara, who is a Jinn warrior, and then they are forced to flee Cairo and go to Davabad. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not too sure. And apparently her presence threatens to ignite a war because she is bound to this city. I really don't know a whole lot about this book. I have seen it a lot over the past years, and I think it sounds so fun, and I know I'm gonna love it, but I don't really know if I want to get into a new series because I just finished Throne of Glass. That was a commitment. I know this is a trilogy, but I don't think I'm ready for a commitment yet. I'm really stuck between Her Soul for a Crown or Phantasma, but I know Her Soul for a Crown is going to be a full-on series and not like an interconnected standalone series. So a part of me wants to put that off for now, just because I don't know when the next book is going to come out, and I really hate reading books, and then the second one comes out and I don't like it. I don't know, but it really sounds really good. I think I'm going to choose Her Soul for a Crown. I think this is going to be the book that I choose because it's so pretty and I'm so excited. I love learning about Indian mythology on top of that. So I do think I am going to choose this one for book number 1. So book number 2. Book number 2, read a book that you've been putting off. The main book that I have been putting off is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I started this on my Kobo and then I got maybe 15% through, and the chapters were really long and I just didn't feel like I was making a dent. Like, it just didn't feel like I was making a dent in the book at all. So I think I want to physically read this book so I can physically see myself making a dent in it. I did enjoy it the time that I started it. I just don't think that it was the time for me to read it. But I do love this paperback, and it is so floppy. It is so nice. So I'm very excited to read this one. So The Secret History by Donna Tartt is going to be book number 2. That was a pretty easy pick. And book number 3 is going to be read a book with a found family. And I think I am going to pick Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I have heard that this one has a lot of found family elements in this. I recently read Shadow and Bone earlier this year, and I thought it was okay. I would really like to see how Six of Crows is. I did really enjoy the Grishaverse. I know this one we are following a group of misfits, but I don't really know what this book is about because the only thing on the back says a convict with a thirst for revenge, a sharpshooter who can't walk away from a wager, a runaway with a privileged past, a spy known as the Wraith, a heart tender using her magic to survive the slums, a thief with a gift for unlikely escapes. Kaz Brecker and his crew are the only ones who might stand between the world and destruction if they don't kill each other first. So it doesn't really explain what is what the premise of the book is. You kind of just get an idea of who is in said group of misfits, but I'm really excited to continue the universe. I think it's time. I'm pretty sure this one is YA. I know Shadow and Bone was YA, but there were times where it felt a little bit too juvenile, so that's the only thing that I'm a little nervous about with this one, which it's understandable. It's literally called young adult, but you know. So book number 3 is going to be Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Okay, book number 4 is gonna be okay. This says read a book set in a magical realm. I'm getting a lot of fantasy. I think this time I am going to pick a standalone, and it is right behind me. And it is Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. I have read Daughter of the Moon Goddess and Heart of the Sun Warrior, I believe, and I absolutely love them. I wouldn't say that those 2 books were cozy fantasies because there was a lot going on, and then there was betrayals and war and stuff, but the books themselves weren't dark. They were just your standard fantasy with some romance subplots, but I absolutely loved her 2 books, so I'm really excited to read this one. So the main character is Lien, who is the heir of Tianxia, I think, and she must ascend to the throne and renew her kingdom's pledge to serve the immortals, who had once protected them from an enemy in the past. But she is poisoned, and her grandfather steals the enchanted lotus to save her life. And so then the immortal queen commands the god of war to attack Tianxia. Once her grandfather dies, Lien reclaims her throne, and then she's ascended into the realm of the immortals, where she learns secrets and forms an alliance to safeguard her people. So I am really excited to read about this. I think it's going to be so fun. I have loved Sue Lynn Tan's other books, so I can't wait to get started on this one. Book number 5 is gonna be read a book that explores the theme of forgiveness. I do think I have one for it. I think The Bright Years by Sarah Demoff would probably fit, just because in the description it kind of hints to it. But it's about Ryan and Lillian Bright, who are in love and they have a baby, and her name is Georgette, but Lillian has a son that she hasn't told Ryan about, and Ryan has an alcohol addiction that he hasn't told Lillian about. And so we're following Georgette growing up and coming of age and watching the rise and fall of her parents' relationship, and we are going through each one of their point of views and seeing the impact of these lies and secrets of the family that kind of that tear them apart, but then over time they are restored and they come together. So I'm going to pick this one for the theme of forgiveness. I've seen a lot of things about this book. I have kind of been on the fence about wanting to read it, but I went to the Peddler's Mall one day and it was for $2. And so I had to pick it up because why not? It was too cheap not to. So I'm going to give this a shot. And if I don't like it, I will be donating it back. So yeah, this is book number 5. We're on book number 6 and I am going to pick, oh my God, okay. This one says read a book that is part of a trilogy. And I have 2 options. I could do The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I know that this one specifically, The Assassin's Apprentice, is a trilogy. It is in a bigger like universe, but I think I am actually going to go with City of Brass that I talked about earlier because I have been wanting to read this. Hopefully I can space out some of this fantasy with some general fiction. Hopefully my next book won't be a fantasy book because even though it's one of my favorite genres, I do not always want to use my brain when I read, but we'll see. Number 6 is going to be City of Brass. And for our last book, I'm a little bit nervous about this because I don't know. Our last book is going to be, no, I'm not going to pick another fantasy because I literally cannot. I will burn myself out so bad. This one says, read a book that matches your shirt. And I am wearing a black shirt with some neon blue, yellow, and pink. And I'm gonna go off of vibes with this one. The only 2 books that have a close vibe to my shirt is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune or The Violet Hour by Victoria Benton Frank. I know that this one is about our main character Wallace, who is collected by the Reaper from Wallace's funeral, and Wallace begins to suspect that he is dead, and then he realizes, oh, I am definitely dead, and Wallace is not ready to abandon the life that he had, and so he is given 1 week to cross over, and so he is set about living a lifetime in 7 days. So the other option that we have is The Violet Hour by Victoria Benton Frank, and the synopsis on this one says Violet Adams is the perfect youngest child in a family of loud, passionate women who live on Sullivan's Island in South Carolina. As the sweet, traditional one, she's always been the steady hand in her family, but after a sudden breakup and subsequent tragedy, she doesn't know who she is anymore. Allie Knox, Violet's best friend, is a young influencer still struggling with the loss of her mother and adjusting to Southern living. With Allie's help, Violet is determined to break out of her shell and who she thought she was, no matter what. And what better place to look for success, meaning, and possibly love than the low country of South Carolina. I bought this because it was in the new release section of McKay's. I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards this one because I noticed that Ann Patchett and Ellen Hildebrand have talked about Victoria Frank's books. I think I'm gonna pick Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune because I think I'm wanting a book that is set in 3rd person rather than first. Because I don't know, I read a book this morning, I listened to an audiobook this morning that was in 1st person and it actually pissed me off. Not because it was in 1st person, I just did not like the book and it just really pissed me off. So I think I'm gonna choose one that's in 3rd person because why not? You can get something a little bit different. To go over all the books that I have picked for July, it's a very fantasy driven month. We have Her Soul for a Crown, The Secret History, 6 of Crows, Immortal, The Bright Years, Under the Whispering Door, and last but not least, City of Brass. It is going to be quite a chunky month for me with fantasy. I usually don't read that many fantasy in a month, but I'm really excited to read these books and hopefully I enjoy them all. But that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this TBR video and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye guys.